This week on Out on the Air features Chicago-based Americana singer-songwriter guitarist Nikki O'Neill, who blends soul, rhythm and blues, and gospel music, previewing her new album, Stories I Only Tell My Friends. Next, we have actor, playwright, and producer Shabria Shine discussing her show, Single Women Chronicles. Our spotlight's on Brink Across Gardens renovation project with Olga Patrician.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart.
Welcome. You're listening to Art on the Air on Lakeshore Public Media, 89.1 FM, WVLP 103.1 FM, our weekly program covering the arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. I'm Larry Breckner of New Perspectives Photography, right alongside here with Esther Golden of The Nest in Michigan City.
Aloha, everyone.
We're your hosts for Art on the Air. Art on the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project Grant, South Shore Arts, and the National Endowment for the Arts. Art on the Air is heard every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Lakeshore Public Media, 89.1 FM, also streaming live at lakeshorepublicmedia.org, and is available on Lakeshore Public Media's website as a podcast. Also heard on Friday at 11 a.m. and Monday at 5 p.m. on WVLP 103.1 FM, streaming live at wvlp.org. Our Spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Media. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, Spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. We'd like to welcome to Art in the Air Spotlight, Olga Patrician. She's got a renovation project coming up for those of you people in Porter County, Brink Across Gardens. And there's a lot of things to talk about that, and we're going to have her talk a little about the history of it, but also what the renovation project is going to be and the opportunity for volunteers to help out. Olga, welcome to Art in the Air Spotlight.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's such a beautiful day to be here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it's really interesting because this actually marks the 20th anniversary from the time the Porter County Parks Department purchased this particular piece of property. To give you a little background, it was originally owned, well, not originally, but it was owned by Bill Brinka and Basil Cross, both who lived in Chicago when they bought the property, an old farmhouse, and decided to build their own home and make up these gardens. Now, they were my best friends for many, many, many years. Bill Brinka was a professor at the Art Institute of Chicago, and that's how I met him when I was doing my studies there. Fast forward, over many years, we worked together on the gardens and the house, the planting, the weeding, the caring, etc. And when they had passed away, I was put charge selling the property to the best use for whoever could use this property. And understand that this property it's nestled in a serene area of Furnaceville, which is an old community between Chesterton and Michigan City. And it has an extraordinary collection of rare specimens, and each one was chosen for its rarity and beauty. Bill Brinka was by trade a sculptor. And so his garden is filled with what I would call garden rooms. Each passage goes into a different vista and different type of planting. So it was really calling for the right use. And to me, it had to be public use because people would visit them all the time to experience the beauty. So 20 years ago, Porter County Parks did purchase the property, and it was on about 20 acres. And since then, they've acquired more land. And so it's about 60 or 70 acres with a lot of surrounding woodland tucked away. But unfortunately, over the years, the property was let go because basically they didn't have the funds, the right people in charge, whatever. And it just imploded with vines and horrible things. So a year ago, I was called in and asked if I would spearhead the rehabilitation, let's say, of the gardens. And I was appointed chair of the Brink Across Gardens Foundation. So here I am today. I feel like I'm coming full circle. I am a real estate broker. That's why I was able to sell this property to the Parks Department. And they've called me back to see what can be done. And so I'm almost 1 year into it, and we've collected hundreds of volunteers. I'm working on a website right now. We're going to have various events. A pavilion is going to be built this spring for people to enjoy. We want people to come and picnic, do their photographs. There's lovely trails about 1.5 miles long to walk, to see the floral and fauna. You can bring your dog as long as it's on a leash. We want to have weddings, so we're working on the house. It's just an extraordinary experiences. The sights, the smells, the restoration is just perfect for the public. As we know, the population is growing. We need more public spaces that can be enjoyed. And I certainly hope it continues. And so we're looking for volunteers and funds, of course.
So what are the state of the gardens? You were mentioning vines and all of that. Has that been, since you've taken over, is there a schedule of cleanup and restoration?
So it's very difficult to schedule, because what I would do every week is look at the weather report and pick a Saturday or Sunday that looked good in the future. And honestly, all I do is email the people on my list, text them, and go on Facebook and say, this is the day from 10 to 12, we're going to go out here, and this is what we're working on. And I only use 2 hours because I don't want to exhaust everybody. We have cleared out so many bittersweet vines, grapevines, bamboo, poison ivy even. I mean, just gobs and gobs of things, dead branches and trees. So it continues.
It does. I wanted to mention, like 2012, you were Society of Innovator for your hybrid of the hosta. Are you still, and you've done over like 20 varieties, I think. Are you still doing that?
I am interesting because I learned how to hybridize from Bill Branca and started hybridizing in 1986. And since then have become internationally known for my hosta hybrids. I don't really know how many I have, maybe 40. I lose count. It's not important to me. But I do continue to do that, and I do intend to be able to teach others how to hybridize on this property.
You're still doing lilies or just the hostas?
No, just the hostas. Deer liked the lilies too much. It was too frustrating, so I stopped doing that.
That's true. It's like ambrosia for them.
Well,
Yes.
real quickly, we're in our last few moments here. Olga, how can people get in touch with you if they want to volunteer and become part of this project?
Well, you can do 2 things. You can text me at 219-405-5683, or you can email me. It's a long email, but I will respond. It's my first name, Olga, Olga, and my last name, Patrician, spelled Petrysyn @gmail.com.
Well, we thank you for coming on Art in the Air Spotlight and sharing about wonderful projects that you're involved with. Hopefully you get some more volunteers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Art on the Air Spotlight and the complete 1-hour program on Lakeshore Public Media is brought to you by Macaulay Real Estate in Valparaiso, Olga Patrician, Senior Broker.
This is Meg Barrow of the Beverly Shores Depot Museum and Art Gallery. I'm the curator. You're listening to Art on the Air, Lakeshore Public Media, 89.1 FM, and on WVLP 103.1 FM.
We are happy to welcome Nikki O'Neill to Art on the Air. Nikki is an R&B Americana singer, songwriter, guitarist, author, and educator, now based in Chicago. She is releasing her 3rd solo album titled Stories I Only Tell My Friends, featuring 11 songs that she wrote all the music and lyrics to, plus it was recorded mostly live. She is also the author of The Woman's Road to Rock, a rock guitar instruction book. Combine that with her guitar lesson channel on TrueFire.com called Twang Soul and Rock and Roll, and her articles in the Guitar Player magazine and the Chicago Tribune. She has a full and varied career. Thank you for joining us on Art on the Air. Aloha and welcome, Nikki. It's really, really wonderful meeting you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. You guys really researched.
So exciting. Gosh, you just are into so many. And I left a lot out of the intro because I hope we can, I hope it comes up in conversation.
Right. Well, Nikki, what our audience loves to hear is about our guests on the show. And I will say their origin story. And how I say this, how you got from where you were to where you are now. So tell us all about Nikki.
Okay, so I was born in Los Angeles, California. My mom and my grandmother lived with me. My dad did not. And my mom was from Poland. My grandma was from Russia. That factors in a little bit with some of the songs that I've written, like later on the new album. But lived in LA until I was 7, and then my mom remarried with a man from Sweden, and we ended up moving there. But for a short period of time, I don't know, something happened, and we had to go to Poland. So my mom and I went to Poland, and we were there during the Cold War. It's like when Poland was behind the Iron Curtain, and was there a little while, and then we went back to Sweden, and then I basically stayed there. So I lived in Sweden for 20 years. So I got to get really familiar with the culture and the language. I spent elementary school, high school, part of university studying music. And then I returned to the US when I was 27 because I wanted to see what that was like. And I moved to New York. And was there for a good while.
Right in the thick of it.
Yeah, in the thick of it all, romantic ideas. Had watched lots of movies and reading, vinyl liner notes and cassette tapes where they talked about Manny's music and all the bands were thanking all these various studios and stuff, Electric Lady Studios, and I thought, wow, I got to go to New York. So I went pretty unprepared, but I don't regret it. It was a fantastic time, and my musical origins, I guess I wanted to be a visual artist at first, but then I saw the music students at my school, at my high school, and I really liked the social aspect of making art together. And I was starting to take guitar lessons at that time when I was 16. And I ended up in the music program. And and then it was a very zigzaggy path in trying to find my identity as a songwriter. I always loved writing songs and creating my own music, as opposed to playing covers and things like that. Although I've done that also, but my path in music, it was mostly playing guitar in other people's bands, writing the songs, not singing very much. That came later when I was in New York. And then it still was kind of, back and forth, just trying to figure myself out. And then I met my husband-to-be at music trade show in LA called NAMM, or it's in Anaheim, but it's close to LA. And we fell in love. And after 6 months, I decided to move from New York and move in with him in LA. And we've been together for 19 years since then. And he plays drums, and he's been, part of my bands and played on my records ever since. So, and maybe I'll stop my origin story there.
No, I think we need to go back to what it was like in these. I mean, it sounds like you had to go to school in Poland, in Sweden. So what was your childhood like, and what was schooling like?
Yeah, it was, so as a kid, I got to experience school in Los Angeles a little bit. I don't remember much. Going to Sweden, then, you come into a new country and you don't know the language. So then
so big.
And the transition, I mean, everything was different. Coming from California, being familiar with the beach, which I loved, and then coming to Sweden, or snow at that time, and having to learn a new language, and at that
Completely different
time,
culture.
totally different culture. And at that time, it wasn't very cool to be from the United States, which maybe it's understandable. But as a 7-year-old, when you have like kids running after you yelling "capitalist," like I didn't know what the word meant. I had to find that out, and they obviously learned that from adults. So it was a heavy time at first, and then my mom, decided we had to go to Poland, and I didn't go to school there though. I don't know how long I was there. Maybe it was just over a summer, but there,
What
I
were your do you still have impressions of Poland at that point?
absolutely, because I remember we took a train from Stockholm, and it went down to the south of Sweden, and then you took a ferry to Germany, and then you took a train through Germany, and we went through East Berlin. And I remember that very well. And arriving in East Berlin at night, and we had to stay at some Red Cross motel or hotel, and everybody seemed very tense and grumpy. I remember there was like no smiling faces anywhere. And then we got on the train the next morning to go to Warsaw, and it was like the sun, opened up the clouds, and suddenly people looked a little happier. Although Poland was definitely, they really struggled under that rule as well, and a lot of people were persecuted and killed, and so it was heavy. But yeah, those were my impressions as a child. So you got to remember, I was 7, so this is what a 7-year-old is seeing. But it was, just a lot of impressions, and people standing in lines for hours, getting to a store that had like one bag of flour and one piece of clothing on a hanger. And then coming back to Sweden and returning to school where everybody's just playing marbles and doing, whatever you do when you're a kid and you haven't like experienced a lot of hardship. It was weird to come back, and when you've seen all this stuff.
Have you maintained the language? Do you still have anybody to speak to in Swedish or?
Oh yeah. I've kept that going a lot of times. Just as an artist, sometimes you have to take on other jobs to pay your bills and stuff. So I've been a freelance writer for Swedish newspapers and their national public radio, and I've worked as a translator, as an interpreter. My Polish, that has really deteriorated because I only knew what I spoke at home with my mom. And after she passed away, I haven't had any opportunity to speak. So if I do, it's like, yeah, I can carry a conversation, but my grammar is pretty crappy. And I can't write at all. I can read slowly, very slowly.
What an experience and everything. So let's get back to your music. And, of course, the newest album you have is Stories I Only Tell My Friends. And tell us a little bit about the origins of that. And you're going to release that, of course, on March 14th on vinyl, a CD and digital. And also talk about the first song that we'll listen to is A Space to Dream. So set up the album and then that specific song.
Okay, so Stories I Only Tell My Friends. New. It's my third solo record, and it has 11 songs. It's quite a varied album. So I've always, part of my sound is to weave together soul, rock, gospel, blues, and a bit of Americana. But to me, Americana is like American roots music. I know a lot of people maybe think of it as more like alt country or something. Labels, the music industry labels, they always change. But those are the styles of music I've grown up with and that I've come to love and throughout all my life. So it is that style, and it was very tough to pick singles because this is meant to be listened to as an album, and it's quite varied, but there is sequencing of the album that I, worked on with great care. So yeah, if you have the time to listen to it, like at least like side A versus side B, then that's how I suggest to do it. A Space to Dream. So that's one of the songs on side B, and it's there's a couple of different themes on the album. I mean, one theme is migration, uprooting, finding your place in the world, travel. Another theme is the struggle of being an artist in a world where we're all connected to devices and constantly having information at your fingertips. What does that do with your imagination? And we're so booked, calendars jam-packed, and the thing about like just sitting and doing nothing and letting imagination, things come to you, let the muse come to you. I was pondering on that, and there's a little connection to two Chicagoans with this song. Jenny Beneman she is a singer-songwriter, and she's also known for something called Haiku Milieu. It's a showcase with different singer-songwriters and top musicians in Chicago, and we all write a song each, and it's based on one of her haiku poems. So the poem that inspired the first verse of my song was, "My desire to be productive is at odds with my desire to be." Hopefully I got the haiku structure right. And then I wrote the song along with a number of the other songs at Steve Dawson's workshops at the Old Town School of Folk Music. So for those who don't know Steve Dawson, fantastic singer-songwriter on Pravda Records. And the great thing is he teaches songwriting, and this is a workshop that's for experienced writers. And it was a great way for me to, being new in Chicago, to come back into writing, bringing songwriting into the forefront of life. Because when you're coming to a new town and you have to kind of find your place and, like, is it pay the bills? And it's easy for life to be gobbled up by that stuff, and your art takes a back seat. And so this was a great way to bring it to the forefront and find a community of great writers and
stay
lyric
connected
writers.
to it all. Yeah.
And stay connected. And so that gave birth to A Space to Dream.
Well, let's take a quick listen to it from the stories I tell my friends, Nikki O'Neill, A Space to Dream.
The hustle's got a hold on me. If I stop, will I fail to be everything that I can be? But where's time to simply be? Wish I could have one day a life as I knew it, but I stared into space. Wonders came into it. I need the precious time. Just wanna find a space to dream. No place I have to go, where I can just be alone. Empty pages set me free, bring to life what no one else could see. Now I'm hooked up to the screens. My greatest power, it's leaving me. Wish I could have one day a life as I knew it, but I stared into space. Wonders came into it. I need that precious time. Just wanna find a space to dream. No place I have to go, nothing I need to know. Don't wanna get up to speed. I got my spaces. No place I have to go. Nothing I need to know. Don't wanna get up to speed. I got my mind and me. I got my mind and me. I got my mind and me. I got my mind and me.
That was A Space to Dream, Stories I Only Tell My Friends, Nikki O'Neill, on her new album, which will be released March 14th.
So, Nikki, I love that. Have one day. So, do you have a to-go place to dream?
Well, actually, I love being at home. I've set up home that way. So it's very colorful, and I love the painting right behind you.
I love the one behind
wonderful.
you as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Rothko.
Rothko, yeah.
Not the real one.
That's okay. It
Yeah.
still has the impact.
Cheaper, smaller poster. Yeah, I love being at home. I love spending time in nature. I grew up with cafes. My mom, I don't know if it was like a Polish thing or old European thing, to always go to coffee shops, and she would bring me there, and my grandmother was there, and they'd sit there all day long. And if I was bored, I would play with the staff, go check out what the dishwasher was doing, or things like that. So sometimes I can find inspiration in cafes too. It depends. If I have to write lyrics, then it's a little tricky, because I start listening to other people's conversations, and then I need to shut it out. But
when you're developing for the works for an album, are you writing specifically for that, or have there been other songs like years ago that then get pulled into this album? Because this one does seem, I mean, like Rainbow in the Cloud, everything does. And I did listen to it in order.
Okay.
And there's a flow to it that it didn't feel like, I don't know, it felt like it was purposely written for this album.
yeah, well, yeah, there are no older songs on it. I wanted to see how Chicago would rub off on me, and I didn't want the album to sound like leftovers from my previous record. And the previous record was a snapshot of me in LA, in the Los Angeles Americana community, with musicians that I met there and then. And so I wanted this album to be different. And so, I started writing the songs, 2 of them in like late 2023, and the rest of them last year, 2024. And thank you for they feel that there's a flow to it, that it's not disjointed. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's I decided to make an album, and then, I did allow inspiration to come, but then maybe, you get certain pieces of the puzzle, and then you're thinking, there maybe should be cool if there was a song that had this type of groove to it.
Wow.
or something. And then you kind of step in a little more consciously, maybe, and form certain things. But I really want to make sure nothing was done on autopilot or by formula, or because I can do that too. Like, people will write from a title, and then just like everything is,
Right.
points to the title, and it's very, very orderly, and that, that's great. That's part of the craft and good problem solving. But I tend to not get as excited by those songs when I write them. They're not as fun to perform live. So I want to invite the muse a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe it was just the fact of having limited time and being in this headspace. Like, I am writing for an album, and somehow they came together. I realized when I put the songs together that they kind of move from more musically driven songs to more storytelling
Stories,
songs.
yes.
Right.
Very
And that
personal.
wasn't my intention, but it's interesting that it became like that.
We're in our final moments here, Nikki. Want to give you an opportunity to talk about the release date, how people can find you online, and any upcoming events, like maybe later in March or April.
Yes. So, yeah, there are three fun events, but first, my website is nikkioneil.com, NIKKIONEILL.com, spelling like the playwright or the surf brand, whatever your reference point is. Um, and yeah, album's coming March 14 on Blackbird record label. And got three things. On March 7, the drummer and I, my husband Rich and I, are going to open for Eileen Jewell at the Old Town School of Folk Music when she does her show. So that'll be fun. And we've got a little surprise there. So you'll find out if you get the tickets and go there. On March 14, the day of the album release, we're doing a listening party at Valhalla Records in Oak Park. And the whole band is going to be there too. We're going to do a couple of acoustic versions of the songs. And we're also going to show a video for one of the tunes called Newcomer Blues, the Don Tinsley shot and edited. And so that's a listening party. There might be some themed cocktails and things like that.
Surprises in store.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be great. That's going to be at 5 p.m., between 5 and 7 p.m. on the 14th of March. Valhalla Records. And then we have the official album release show, which is at the Colvin House in Edgewater, right by Loyola University, by the water. And that's going to be, Tuesday, April 1st at 6:30 sharp. And this is a cool little historic mansion. And it's going to be like retro furniture, crystal chandeliers, prairie architecture, small and intimate. But we'll be playing a full set. We've got two backup singers extra as guests singing with us, and they usually do a little tour of the house. Normally it's like a creative workspace, and there's a lot of weddings that happen there. So it'll be the album for the first set, and then people can get a tour of the house and buy our vinyl album if they want. We'll sign it, and then there'll be another set with other songs. So
Sounds great.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. It's Nikki O'Neill, Stories I Only Tell My Friends. Her new album releases on March 14th, and you can find her online at nikkioneil.com. Nikki, thank you so much for coming on Art on the Air.
thank you. It was absolute pleasure.
Oh, same. Thank you so much.
This is Karen Maravilla with It's Just Serendipity, and you're listening to Art on the Air on Lakeshore Public Media, 89.1 FM, and on WVLP, 103.1 FM.
We are happy to welcome Shabria Shine to Art on the Air. Shabria is an actor, playwright, and producer whose mission is to empower women wherever she goes. She is the founder and CEO of Iconic Heiress LLC, which is a productions company that inspires and empowers women to live, laugh, love, and heal through events, stage plays, and films. She writes stories that focus on girls' and women's issues such as self-love, trauma, healing, societal pressures, and healthy relationships. Thank you for joining us on Art on the Air. Aloha and welcome. It is very wonderful to meet you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I know you reached out to Lakeshore Public Media's station, and that's how we came in touch with you to talk about your upcoming show. But we want to first find out all about you and your background, your origin story. Like I say, is how you got from where you were to where you're now. So tell us all about Shabria.
Yes, of course. So I was born in Gary, Indiana. And in elementary school, I had no idea that I loved to perform just yet. I knew I was always running around the house trying to sing and dance, for my grandparents. And then they started to realize, oh, this is something she really wants to do. So I was asked in elementary school to dance in a production, and across the street, a ballerina came over to help us choreograph, and she was phenomenal. I was in awe, and I was like, oh my goodness, she's amazing. And so my parents put me in professional dance lessons. And then I ended up going to Emerson Visual and Performing Arts School in Gary, Indiana as a dance major. But then I realized, oh my gosh, I don't want to just dance. I want to act. I want to sing. I want to do it all. I just had such a love for it and realized that I just didn't want to be a dance major, but I loved musical theater and I loved all things theater. So in high school, I continued at Andrean High School and continued in the musical theater program, was a Ninerette dancer, sang in the choir. And from there, I went to Columbia College, Chicago. Didn't graduate from there, actually, just went straight into the business, but then ended up getting a business degree, but continuing what I did on the side. So I always had a love for the arts. So even when I went on to work, as they say, a normal job, my heart just kept tugging, to go back to my first love. And eventually I just started creating stories. And once I got married, my husband's like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to act again. He's like, well, just do it. So he helps me produce my first show, which was in actually 2021, Single Woman Chronicles.
That's
So that's kind
such
of where
a
I started.
such a lovely story. Oh, actually, I'm not going to jump ahead. Let's jump behind.
Okay. Yes.
So, what was growing up like then? Were you encouraged in school to pursue the arts?
Yes, absolutely. So the elementary school that I went to actually was not an art school, but they loved the arts. They were always having programs and just they were always encouraging us, our teachers, to express ourselves. And there was something called the media fair, and they wanted us to, put on fashion shows and sing and dance and different things. And it really pushed the creative side out of me. That was just the origin of it. So I loved that. Even in church growing up as a little girl, they always pushed us to be in the praise dance group or the drama club, and it was just such a joy. I just fell in love with it. And my parents, actually, they were always supportive. They saw that I had a spark. They saw that I really loved it, and they wanted me to go after it. I will say, as I got older, my father was more concerned. Is like, is this going to be a stable career for you? What if you get injured as a dancer? What if you so it's as I got an adult, he started to be a little bit more leery of it. But I think as he saw that as I made decisions, that I was going to make wise decisions, and also that you have to just go for your dreams. I mean, even if you make a mistake, you have to go for it. You have to go for what's in your heart. Yeah.
Well, you brought up an interesting thing is that a pure dancer's lifespan is relatively short. I mean, there's not too many Cheetah Riveras out here that are dancing well into her 60s and almost 70s. Generally speaking, you're as a pure dancer, you're probably when you hit your mid 30s and maybe 40. I'm going to be a choreographer now, same thing. So
Yeah, you start shifting. Yeah, I will say that that's so true. I love what I do now because even having talks, I don't have children yet. So we were talking about, family planning and things of that nature. And I was thinking, I love what I do now because I have so much freedom, creative freedom as well. I can say when I'm going to do a show or when I'm going to go on tour or when I'm going to take myself out of the show and just direct and write. I think that's just so beautiful. And I think there's so many options for creatives. I don't think there's one way. I think we can write our own ticket. And I feel like you can have it all. You don't have to say, oh, I can't do this because I'm getting older anymore. You can shift and you still can be a part of the arts, which we love so much.
I wanted to ask you is about favorite shows. You've been in quite a few shows like I See Godspell, Superstar. So maybe favorite shows and favorite roles in the shows.
Sure. So I was never in this show, but this is a show that I absolutely love. Chicago, the musical.
Oh, yes.
I loved it. I actually was wanting to do it and then they canceled it when I was going to audition. So locally. So that one, but I will say I played Cha-Cha in Greece. I love that role just because at that time I was just purely mostly dancing and it was so much fun. That show Greece is just so much. It's just a great show. And I was also a principal dancer and just the fun costumes, the fun dance numbers, the songs. Of course, it's a classic. So I absolutely love that. I'm trying to think of the other shows that I've been in. I actually loved Jesus Christ Superstar was a really fun show to be in. I had a blast with that one. I actually loved every show that I was in, but those will probably be some of my favorites there. Of course, Single Woman Chronicles, the one that I wrote because I got to, I pretty much, I'm the lead in it and I got to really share my heart and part of my story in it. And means so much to me.
It's really interesting because even just hearing you talk, everything I've looked at, I mean, you handle serious subjects with such humanity, but with energy and a fun spirit. And it's just the way you are. And so it's interesting so you did Single and Satisfied. And so when did the husband enter in? And then I read that he is the one that said, write your own work because you said,
Yes.
here's my passion, but New York, this, that? And he said, well, why don't you do it? So can you
Yeah.
sort of give us the backstory on all of that? It just sounds so exciting.
Absolutely. So right before I met my husband, I flew to New York and auditioned for the musical Clueless. For Dion. I did not make that one. I did not make that one. And so I was so down. I was like, okay, this is it. I'm done. I'm no longer acting. I'm just going to keep my day job and do my own thing. And so I met him literally right after that. And it was such an amazing experience just meeting him. And he's so progressive and creative and supportive. And we were a long distance couple. So I moved from the Chicagoland area to South Carolina, where he lived after we got married. So I quit my job and everything. He's like, what do you want to do? You have this time now. What do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, well, I'm going to be in shows, but I'm in South Carolina. Not that they don't have shows, but it's a little different. And so he's like, well, write your own. What's in your heart? And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like, well, where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to do this? And he's like, just go on YouTube and do some monologues. Just do some fun stuff. And I called it Single Woman Chronicles. And each week I did improv monologues about different issues that single women dealt with. And I did like a live session after, and women loved it. And that's where the basis of my show came from. Those improv, it was 5 improv monologues. And then I wrote the show around that.
Well, and one of the songs you have in the show is Single and Satisfied. And so maybe tell us the content, first of all, a little bit how that fits into the show, and then we're going to take a quick listen to that.
Absolutely. So I actually wrote that show when I was single. And because I also am a singer-songwriter, I actually was going to release it on my EP. But by the time it was done, engaged, no longer single and satisfied. And I'm like, this is such a great mantra. It really speaks to who I was as a single woman. I'm like, I can't just let it die down. And so I really thought it would be a great song to include in my first stage play, Single Woman Chronicles. And it really is just like a mantra for women to know who they are and to know their value and to really own it and not to think that their, identity is in their relationship status. And so we added that in a fun scene in our show.
Well, let's go ahead and take a listen from Shabria Shine's Single Woman Chronicles, Single and Satisfied.
I used to think it was all about him. Without him, I couldn't breathe. Now I know I can thrive without him. I found identity. I'm no damsel in distress. Ain't desperate for romance. Not gon' put up with no mess. Cause I know who I am. Create a life you don't need rescue from. Love, find, and so first and true love will come. Create a life you don't need rescue from. Love, find, and so first and true love. Why settle? Why settle? Why settle? Ladies, why settle? Why settle? Why settle? Ladies, I don't need your sympathy, cause I'm single and satisfied. I don't need your empathy, cause I'm single and satisfied. I know you really wanted him, but let it go, please. Don't stay just cause you want a man, or bored or just lonely. You're no damsel in distress, not desperate for romance. Don't put up with no mess. You're worth so much more than that. Create a life you don't need rescue from. Love, fight, and so first and true love will come. Create a life you don't need rescue from. Love, fight, and so first and true love. Why settle? Why settle? Why settle? Ladies, why settle? Why settle? Why settle? Ladies, I don't need your sympathy, cause I'm single and satisfied. I don't need your empathy, cause I'm single and satisfied. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied. And satisfied. I'm not gonna sit around moping. I'm not gonna stop hoping. I'm not gonna stop my life. I'm living now, not waiting in. Single and satisfied. Tip 1. Join the movement. 2. Work on you. And 3. Find passion and purpose. Live your life for God, not people. 4. Hang with friends. And 5. Find hobbies and interests. 6. Celebrate yourself. The life you want to live is up to you. So why settle? Why settle? Why settle? Single and satisfied. So why settle? Why settle? Why settle? Ladies, cause we're single and satisfied. Cause we're single and satisfied. single and satisfied. I don't need your empathy, cause I'm single and satisfied. Cause we're single, 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 single and satisfied.
And that was Single and Satisfied from Shabria Shine's Single Woman Chronicles, actually coming up on March 29th at Westside Theater Guild.
So that was amazing. You know what I also love? You have such an incredible website as well. And I really enjoyed the introduction that you did to all the characters. I loved that video meeting of the characters. I really have never seen that before. It was really engaging, as well as the blog to take us through the behind the scenes. So what inspired all of that? Because that's very
Yes.
unique.
Oh, thank you. So me and my husband, we do a lot of brainstorming together of how to make it more engaging. Even the website, he helps me build that, how to really get the audience involved. And we thought it would just be so much fun since I was starting, from the bottom up, never had done a show, to just show my audience the process, how I got started, and even showing that you can start when you don't have a lot and what you can accomplish just by just going after your dream. So we really just wanted to show that behind the scenes footage and just so they could watch me as I grow. We thought that'd be a really cool thing. And we wanted them not to just see photos of the cast. We wanted them to really kind of get into the world and introduce who the cast was to each and every person.
Yeah, I completely enjoyed that,
Thank you.
as well as really feeling part of it, because that's what those vlogs did. I was excited for the next one, and it was very engaging.
Thank you.
So with the show, has it evolved from the first time you've done it? And it sounds like you've done it before. Now has there been changes because, the nature of, well, where you are in your life, but maybe changing it besides the upcoming thing? This is part 2 of that question. Other performances you're looking forward down the future after the March 29th one?
Yes, absolutely. So it has changed. Mostly we've changed a lot of the characters, so they brought their own flair to it. So we changed some have ad-libbed, and I love their ad-libs. So I'm like, let's put that in the show. We've had to change some of the timing and some of the scenes, add some more verbiage here, take away just because it's fashion heavy. So we had to take away some costumes because of the timing, especially for my character. We're like, okay, we have to cut that. It took too much time in between. So we learned as we were going for sure. So small changes, but definitely yes. And we're looking forward to doing more of Single Woman Chronicles, taking it on the road. And we're also looking forward to in the fall doing my comedy, Sharbria Shine's Dr. Love, the stage play. So we're October 18th.
So now that you brought up fashion, I have to
Yes.
say, because you did the behind the scenes, we get to see the purses and the shoes and the clothes before you wear them on stage. So are those accessories from your own wardrobes, or have you had support from boutiques?
So the first year that we did it, it was actually from our own wardrobe. It's so funny because the three main characters, we actually love fashion. So we have a lot of clothes. So the first time we kind of just did our own thing because we were just starting out. The one probably that you saw where it was a lot of purses and extra items. Yes, I worked with local boutiques, so we could also feature them as well. And that was so much fun. We did photo shoots and we just had a blast, pop-up shops. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Okay, that explains it, because everything looks so brand new and shiny and unused.
Yes, yes. It was so fun. It was a girl's dream.
So one of the companion things that you do is the Single Woman's Dating Guide, which I think, so tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So before I was married, I had a women's group and blog, and so it was Single and Satisfied. So the first book I wrote was Single and Satisfied, the Single Woman's Guide to Fulfillment. And through those monthly blogs and all the YouTube videos I did, women were always asking me, well, how do you date? What do you do? What are some tips? And so they asked me so much that I just was like, okay, I'll just go ahead and write a book, some tips. So it's not like the end all be all, but it's kind of just some tips of kind of some things that I learned as I was dating and as I was mentoring women and girls. Because I also used to work for a nonprofit organization where we used to train young adults and teens about healthy relationships. So I learned so much with that, and that actually helped me in my life. And I just wanted to share that.
Are you still doing speaking engagements? Because
Yes.
as I was looking at all those videos, there were a lot of speaking engagements.
Yes, actually, me and my husband we just spoke at a marriage conference last week. So yes, we still do that. I just love to empower. So I definitely do speaking engagements as well.
Now, beyond your October comedy type thing, did you have another project completely different from your current one? I mean, something that you got on the back burner and you're cooking on it?
I do. I'm working on another show. As creatives, we're always working on something. So it's already written out. I'm just looking to work with some theaters. We're developing it right now. So definitely different from my other shows, dealing with just some social issues. But yeah, we're working on that now. I'm always looking to work on new projects, and it's just a blast. So absolutely.
Excellent. And you have a timeline on that yet? Or, I mean, I know it's in the creation process, but
Yeah, I'm looking to probably 2026 in the spring.
all
Yeah,
right.
pretty quickly. I try to move pretty quickly.
And
So
then
it's just fun.
fitting a
Sorry.
family in there somewhere down the road, how are we going to, you're doing all these creative things, you have to think about that. Tell us about that, maybe.
Family planning? Sure, of course. So, to be honest, I have a lot of flexibility. I create my own schedule, my own shows, so definitely can work around that. My husband's very supportive. He also is an entrepreneur. So we work from home. So that's the beauty of it. We do have an office that we go to when we want, but that's the beauty that we're a team. And so we definitely are planning for a family, and we're gonna, work them in the process. They'll have to be at rehearsals with me and tagging along, and hopefully we'll get them in the arts as well.
I've been there too. A lot of times my daughter came to me, even though my wife was involved with theater. I would have my parents who watched my daughter bring her over for rehearsal, and I would have her there while I was doing rehearsals and things. So yeah, you can make them part of the whole process. I put her on stage at 5 months, by the way. She was the baby and Fiddler on the Roof, so we used her for real. So
I love that.
So, developing the cast, were they friends of yours? Were there auditions? How did the cast come about? They're really
So, yeah.
very varied
we-
and wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. When we first did the show, it actually was a mixture. I did do the regular auditions and that process, but as I moved on from different shows, I realized that I had a good network of people, and I could just reach out to them. Social media helps. And I always was able to find a friend of a friend, and it just works out. And I actually love it that way because there's some familiarity. Yes.
And the venue, West Side Theater, has been very supportive, apparently, because they've been doing that. And so tell us about performing in that space, because you came from Emerson, which, of course, unfortunately is now no longer around. But tell us about the West Side experience.
Yeah, so I grew up dancing on that stage, so I'm so familiar with it, and it's such an honor to be back there as an adult with my own productions. Our recitals from Emerson were there a lot of times, as well as Wirt High School. And also as an adult, Mark Spencer actually hired me as a choreographer. So I've been a part of many shows there as choreographer, dancer, and actor as an adult. So it actually was a smooth transition. When I went back into the arts, I talked to him about it, and we did my Dr. Love stage play there last year. So this year, that's why we're doing Single Woman Chronicles. We've had a great experience.
Yeah, Mark's very supportive of people. I've known him for quite a few years in terms of everything like that. And so I'm sure they help you like with designing the technical aspects of the show, lighting, sound, and things of that nature.
Actually, with this show, we already had that all set because
Great.
we did it in 2021. Yeah, so that's the beauty of that. We're able to bring our lighting designer and tech girl, and she's doing it again for us. So we're excited about that.
That sounds great.
Is there a story behind Iconic Heiress?
Well, yes. With women, of course, I'm about empowerment. So I feel so highly about us, and I just have so much respect for women. And I just want us to thrive. And I think that I just really want women to know their identity, and they have purpose, and they have worth. And it's not in another human being, right? And so when I think of icons, like, who do you look up to? Who's amazing? Who's fabulous? And I'm thinking, as women, we are iconic, no matter who you are. No matter where you grew up, your race, your ethnicity, your beliefs, you're iconic, and you are an heiress. And so, yes, I think that we're just amazing. And I wanted to just have a name that really reflected that.
What piece of advice are you going to give? Like if I give one piece of advice to single women or married women at that point, since you are also married, about getting through life?
Yes, I would say definitely work on you. Work on being the best woman that you can be for yourself, first and foremost. Not for your friends, not for a man or a woman, but for yourself. Knowing who you are, going after your dreams, knowing what you like and dislike, and create a life that you don't feel like you need rescuing from, so that if you do desire a special someone, when that person comes, they will find a whole person, not someone needing someone to complete them.
Excellent.
So, Shabria, do you go into the schools to talk to younger women and girls?
So I actually did that for almost a decade when I worked for the nonprofit. Yes, I no longer do that, but I do freelancing. So sometimes organizations will reach out to me, and yes, I do that as I can.
Perfect.
Well, in our last few moments here, we can give you a chance to talk about where people can find you online, show dates, tickets, all that kind of information.
Yes, my website is sharbria.com or either sharbriashine.com. That's CHARBRIA. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Sharbria Shine. And also for the show, go to swcthestageplay.com. It is March 29th, Sharbria Shine, Single Woman Chronicles, 6 p.m. And if you use code SWC, the number 10, you get $10. That's swcthestageplay.com, March 29th. Hope to see you there.
Well, that's great. Shabria Shine, Single Woman Chronicles, March 29th at the West Side Theater Guild. And you can hear all her sound, shabriashine.com. You can find that, and we'll have a link on her picture on our website. Shabria, thank you so much for coming on Art of the Air and sharing your goals.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. It's been a complete pleasure.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank our guest this week on Art on the Air, our weekly program covering the arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. Art on the Air is heard Sunday at 7 p.m. on Lakeshore Public Media, 89.1 FM, also streaming live at lakeshorepublicmedia.org, and is available on Lakeshore Public Media's website as a podcast. Art on the Air is also heard Friday at 11 a.m. and Monday at 5 p.m. on WVLP 103.1 FM, streaming live at wvlp.org. If you have a smart speaker like Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, or Apple Siri, just tell it to play Art on the Air to hear the latest episode. Our Spotlight interviews are heard every Wednesday on Lakeshore Public Media. Thanks to Tom Maloney, Vice President of Radio Operation for Lakeshore Public Media, and Greg Kovach, WVLP's Station Manager. Our theme music is by Billy Foster with a vocal by Renee Foster. Art on the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project Grant, South Shore Arts, and the National Endowment for the Arts. We'd like to thank our current underwriters for Lakeshore Public Media, Macaulay Real Estate in Valparaiso, Olga Patrician, Senior Broker. And for WVLP, Walt Reidinger of Paragon Investments. So we may continue to bring you Art in the Air. We rely on you, our listeners and underwriters, for ongoing financial support. If you're looking to support Art on the Air, we have information on our website at breck.com/AOTA, where you can find out how to become a supporter or underwriter of our program in whatever amount you are able. And like I say every week, don't give till it hurts. Give till it feels good. You'll feel so good about supporting Art on the Air. If you're interested in being a guest or send us information about your arts-related event or exhibit, please email us at aota@breck.com. That's aota@breck.com, or contact us through our Facebook page. Your hosts were Larry Breckner and Esther Golden, and we invite you back next week for another episode of Art on the Air.
Aloha, everyone. Have a splendid week.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the Air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the Air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show